Hi, I'm Gary and welcome to my shop. In this video, I took off the foot bars for my Workbench wheel lifts to clean them up of rust. I never did paint them when I first put them on. Now, while I was working on this project, I received a suggestion from a viewer, Tim Thomas, who had just watched the original video on these wheel lifts. Now, that was episode 2016-44, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now, that video will also cover more details about installing the wheels. Now, Tim suggested putting on a 2-inch angle iron on that skinny bar I had for controlling the two wheel lift levers. And that was a brilliant idea, and I added that into this video with Tim's approval. Now, Tim is a fellow veteran. He served 8 years in the Navy, so thank you, Tim, for your service. Okay, so be sure to read the description below, as it contains a lot of good information and links. Also, that is where I post additions and corrections to this video. So let's get down to this project now. So as in a previous video that I did on these wheels for my workbenches, and I'll put a link below to that video so you can see that, but I never did finish off those bars and protect them from rust, and they got quite rusty over time. So now what I'm doing is I'm removing them and cleaning them up on my bench grinder here, the wire wheel, to get them cleaned up and rust free. Then I'm going to prime these and paint them, and what I like to do is add like that yellow and black stripe warning sign, and I'll put that down there. Okay, I've got some craft paper laid out here on top of my table saw, and a couple of popsicle sticks I put on here to kind of lift these bars up a little bit. And what I'll do is spray paint them with this Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. And what I'll do is spray paint these. I'm going to turn on some fans, and that'll evacuate some of the paint smell out for me. Now I'll go across these a few times, do a few coats, but I won't bore you with all that detail to show you some of the spraying that I'm doing here. Alright, I'll let this dry. It apparently dries pretty quickly. Then I can flip it over, put another coat on the other sides, and then it'll dry pretty quickly where I can put on some finishing coats. And next I'll probably paint it yellow. They always say paint it your lightest color first and then put on the darker colors on top of that. I'll probably paint it with the yellow first, and then I'll tape it and mask it off to give it those stripes for like the safety signs do. So I'll have a black and yellow stripes. So as I was working through this and doing the painting and stuff like this, I happened to get a comment in from one of our viewers. Refer to him right now by his initials TT, and he suggested that I use a 2-inch angle iron to give a better step on this. And I found out, so this is going to be sitting across the top of the handles for above the wheels for raising it up and down with your foot. And he suggested, one way would be to attach this underneath here, perhaps like this. But I found out that with my configuration, this edge gets to be too close to the floor, so I can't get my toe under it to try and make an adjustment for it. So what I'm going to do actually is take this angle iron and attach it to the back side here. I found that in trying things out, this seemed to work out the best for the orientation. And then he also suggested to put like some traction thread on here, or maybe some 60 grit sandpaper glued on there. So what I'm going to do is get this, I've got this cut up. I bought a 3-foot piece here, and then I sawed it in half, and I'm going to clean it up a bit, and then I'm going to paint it, prime it, and then paint it to the same yellow, and I'll put the black and yellow stripes on it like I was planning to do with the rest of it. Now I do plan to attach these bars, or this angle iron, to the back side of these bars here, like that. And I'm going to run a couple of metal screws through here, and I'll show you how I do that later to secure this on there. So I'll move on, start getting this painted up and ready to go together. Alright, so now I'm going to do is measure up my bars here and this 2-inch angle iron that I'm going to put on to give me a better footrest on this, or for bringing this bar up and down for lifting the wheels. Anyways, I measured out the length of the bar, the length of the angle iron, and got it centered on here, which is about 3 1/4 inches from each end of the bar. And then I marked in, the bar is going to sit up into this corner here, and the bar is only about 3/4 of an inch wide. So I can't just mark the centers of this bar. I got to mark back to this 3/4 measurement, then mark the centers for where I'm going to drill these holes at. And what I'm going to do is to get this one drilled out there, then I'll use that as a template to do the other bar. And I'll also use this as a template for marking and drilling the holes on the bar itself. So next step, I'll go to the drill press and get these drilled out. I've set up my drill press fence here to give me elevation enough to get a clearance over this knob and raise this up high enough, and I used a piece of backer board here to get this at the right height. And I've got this aligned so that drill bit center will hit the center of my mark there, and then I can just go along here and drill the holes. They'll all be uniform. I'll just align the drill bit on the other line here. So I got those holes drilled. I can dress this up a little bit. Then use this as a template to mark up the drilling the holes on the square rods. Now the screws that I'm going to be using for this are these sheet metal screws with a nut driver on them, or a nut head, hex head. And they are 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch long, which will be plenty enough to get through 1/4 inch worth of steel anyway. But I drilled this hole large enough to 1/4 inch so that this will fit right through there easily enough, and then the hole that I'll be drilling in the bars will be slightly smaller to get a grasp on the threads of the screw. I'll move on and mark up the rest and get the rest of the holes drilled. Okay, I've got all these holes drilled. I took this bar that I drilled earlier on the drill press and laid it out on here in the orientation that I need it to be when I put it together, and marked the holes onto this bar. I drilled the holes on this bar slightly smaller so that the screw could fit into there, and I've already tested one screw into there and got a good fit. And I'll move on here and start screwing these bars onto these bars so I can get a good footrest for this. Alright, I've got this all bolted together now, these two pieces, and this will go onto my workbench wheels now, the lifts, and it'll be sitting like, these screws are going to be like on the inside, so they'll be facing in this way and sitting on the steps that way. Then when I push down on the steps to raise the wheels, to raise the bench off the floor so it can roll around, it'll point down that way. This will give me a good toe edge to get that for when I want to lift it back up again, and then it's in a position like this, kind of at this angle, and that'll make it a lot more convenient than trying to grab this skinny 3/4 inch bar. This gives me a lot more surface. I'm going to go ahead and finish painting this up with some black stripes on here so I can have the black and yellow safety stripes, so to speak. And then I'll probably put some adhesive strips, stir strip adhesive on here that'll give me better traction for when I want to pull this down. So I'll put up a picture here quick to show you how this will look once I've got this installed. Right now the other one's not quite tightened down everything yet because I still got to finish the painting yet. So I'll be back soon. Okay, I've got to this point here where I've got these painted up basically, and I put on this traction tape on here to give you good traction with your foot. I thought about cutting this up in strips to fit over the black mark so I could maintain my black and yellow stripes, but then I thought if I've got that many little strips on there, it gives a lot of little edges that can catch and eventually peel off easily or something, so I thought I would just stick it on as one solid piece that way. So I'm ready to go with this, and I'll get these mounted onto the workbench, onto the wheel levers, so I can get the workbench up and down on its wheels quick and easy. I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so I've got the foot bar put back on so I can work these wheels up and down both together instead of one at a time, which would cause racking of your workbench to do that. This makes it a lot easier. Basically, I got it down so it kind of rolls around right now, and get it into position. It's not quite perfect position, but for demonstration purposes I'm putting it right here. And what I'll do is get underneath this with my toe. What you have to do is to take some of the pressure of the weight off of the wheels and the bars and all this stuff. So you have to lift up a little bit as you're doing this. Not like you have to lift the entire thing, but just enough to take off enough pressure so you can operate this bar. And it's not a whole lot, but as you can see, that was fairly easy. Then the bar goes up and stores away. I want to use it again, I bring it down like this, and I'll put my foot on it. Very easy to do. So ready to roll around to the next position. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you got some inspiration to maybe put some wheels on your workbench. If you did, please give me a like and hit that thumbs up icon, and be sure to share it with your family, friends, and fellow craftspersons. And please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so you won't miss anything. Please leave your comments. I'd love to hear from you, what you like to see and so forth, and whatever ideas that you got, like I got from Tim. So, if the ladies don't find you handsome, at least they should find you handy. Thank you.